of Greater Grounds. Can we give him a round of applause for hosting us? Byron has agreed to host us for the 2026 season this year, and so we are eternally grateful, super happy for him. Tip your baristas, please. They are serving us here tonight. Take care of them. Order coffee, order goodies, order a cocktail, whatever you want. But that's how we can support them for giving to us. Order something. But hey, thank you, Byron. We appreciate you so much, man. Thank you. Oh, also, they're trying to do more, they have a coffee cart that they're trying to do stuff in the wedding industry. So, talk to Byron if you're a planner about that. They have some really cool stuff. They're one of the few coffee carts that actually does coffee and alcohol. So that's something that's really unique about them. So thank you, Byron.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Guys, we got a lot of new faces here tonight. Super pumped, super excited. My name is Chris. I am one of a three-headed monster that is the kind of VOW leadership team. I'm sure Lara appreciates me calling her a three-headed monster. But I'm Chris, and that's Lara. That's my wife. She is also a partner in VOW. Jaylee is back over there. All three of us are the owners, of VOW. And so we all kind of help plan the community and all the events and things that we do. And so if this is your first VOW event that you've been at, I kind of just want to tell you a little bit about what it is. This is an MLM scheme. You have been duped. You will get a timeshare here today. No. VOW at its core, right? I know it can be kind of confusing at times, but VOW at its core, at least for wedding vendors, I want you to think of this. VOW equals networking. For wedding vendors, it's so simple. That's what we are doing with this. We are creating, and sometimes we do that through a party. Sometimes we do that through mixers. Sometimes we do that through other work days and styled shoots. We've done some styled shoots before. At its core, it is a networking community intended to provide education for business owners and community. I think one of the things that I love about this community, I've been in some networking events where everything just feels real stuffy and proper, and you gotta almost be on your best behavior, and obviously we're all professionals, but we also have the real version of us. And my hope is that we can be the real version of us when we're around one another. So at its core, VOW is here to uplift the wedding community, provide networking events, yada, yada, yada. So what does VOW equal? Good job. You get a gold star, if there were gold stars. That is what that is. So I want to welcome our guest speaker up, Stacy. If you guys could welcome her up. Wait, do you have a mic?
Yes.
Oh. Well, do you have this mic?
Do I need both?
I thought maybe we had two mics.
You said no.
Just kidding. We're going to share a mic. That's what we're going to do. Okay. I got to get my phone out. Over here. So, do I have y'all's permission to tell you a story before we start? Can I tell you a story? Does everyone agree to that? Sean called me Papa. Okay. I was going to make another joke. We'll end it there. So, this story might have a little bit of some stingy truth in it. Do I still have your permission? It might kind of push you just a little. Is that okay? All right, you really had to say yes. You had no other choice. I was going to tell it regardless of not. But the other day, I heard a story about two wedding vendors. These two wedding vendors started their business the exact same year. Ironically enough, not only did they start it the exact same year, they started it the exact same day. Crazy, right? They both had talent. They both had the resources, the financial backing, the professional website, they had the drive, excitement, they had all that together. 2 years go by. One of them was booked out, raising their prices every year, traveling for weddings, and working with their dream clients. The other one was posting on Instagram saying, still have dates available this year, or making reels that say, book me as your fill in the blank, refreshing their emails daily, waiting for the inquiries, and wondering why everyone else seemed to get the weddings. The difference wasn't talents. The difference is that one of them kept waiting and the other one started creating opportunities. This is a real story, by the way. So it's not, I made it up. Tonight, we're going to talk about this concept of creating ideas, or like actually taking risks and creating opportunities. And so this is where Stacy comes in. Stacy and I were having a conversation the other day, and we got on this topic of creating opportunities. And so Stacy, for those of you that don't know her, ooh, it sounds like a bad best man speech. Stacy is a Wichita wedding photographer. She does weddings, you do branding, all sorts of things, right?
Well, weddings, couples, and branding.
Weddings, couples, and branding. There you go. And Stacy is a bit of a risk taker. We got on this conversation and we had lots of really good things. We were like, man, we should talk about this at a vendor mixer. So, Stacy, I'm going to hand this over to you. But the reason that I asked you to do this is because you are someone, when I think of opportunities, you're someone who has kind of run out for things and you've kind of created them, right? And so we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff behind that. But can you just give a little intro for yourself?
Well, first of all, I thought I wouldn't be nervous, but my heart is like, oh, here we are. So, wow, where do I start? So to give you the short version, just like where I started, I have always been driven and super motivated in everything I do. And I know that, whatever you want in life, you've got to go out and work hard for it. And, nothing will be handed to you. So I worked at Wesley, even before photography, for 5 years or so as an exercise physiologist in cardiac rehab. Went to school for that. 7 years too long, but we did it. And so I think I always knew that you have to work really, really hard. So love what I did. I worked 3/12s. It was ideal. Work little, not work a little. So I've actually never had a 9-to-5 job, which is crazy. And so at the gym that I go to, the trainer, everybody's hype man, we just kind of started having conversations about, life and whatnot. And I was like, I love my job, but there's something missing about it. And he was like, well, what are your hobbies? And I was like, I don't know, exercising, I like anatomy and biology. I don't know. I never thought of myself as creative. My sister is a graphic design major, and I was biology, anatomy, and all the things. So I really don't know the aha moment of how photography came into my lap, but the trainer, I remember, told me, he was like, as cliche as this is, you are going to wish in 5 years you would have at least tried. And I was like, okay, you have no idea how expensive camera gear, I can't afford to do that, and just deep dive in. But it took me a week to buy my first camera. And the story with that is everyone's got if you have a piggy bank growing up, you just put little things in there or whatever. I had this big crayon, like this tall, and I still have it. And I took it to the bank, cashed it in, and realized that there was 20s, 50s, 100s buried in there. And it gave me just the right amount and a little more to buy my first camera in Kitlan. So I was like, I think this is fate. And I bought that, and shortly after, I turned to Sam, my husband, and I told him, I said, I want to do it. I want to leave the hospital. This was November 2019, right before COVID hit. Didn't know it was coming. And he was like, can you at least wait until April to hang on for a steady 2-week paycheck? Because he had just started his own insurance business. And I looked at him and I said, I love and respect you, but no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And because I'm always like, if I fail at that, I'm going to figure out, I always joke and say, I'll sell candles on the side of the road. I'll figure it out. And, or I left the hospital on good terms and everything, so I can always go back and do that. But COVID hit, and then some photographers weren't taking weddings. So then I always think opportunity. And I know that, it was really scary for everybody, and I don't want to downplay anything that happened, but for me, it boomed my business because people that were canceling weddings, those clients came to me, three people, and said, hey, my photographer isn't shooting, will you do weddings? And I was like, sure. I've never, I was honest and said, I haven't ever done weddings before. I don't have a ton of experience in it. And that kind of just trickled me in. And also a big shout out to this one over here that gave me I can't remember exactly when it was, but one of my first experience second shooting with a very, very high-end, credible photographer. And I think that was your guys' first wedding that you didn't do it together, correct? And she gave me an opportunity to second shoot, and I remember taking some photos, And because you had me on the groomsmen, and I go, I don't even know how to put him against a window and make sure it's exposed. I didn't know how to do that, and I was so terrified. She's like, let me see what you took. And I was like, oh my God, it's the checking your work. I'm like, I don't want you to see these. And then you helped me. You're like, tweak this, try this. And it's people like that that have given me crazy, and I know I kind of jump stories a little bit, but just opportunities that I would have never gotten if I just threw myself out there. Because you put something on your story, and I said, yep, I'm available. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I got an email from you. Yeah, so again, I think that just, it goes in completely knowing that, like, I just jump.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can talk about this all day. I don't even remember what I was talking about.
No, you're good. You're good. You're actually.
Like,
I'm going to say this is what we planned because I'm going to segue kind of into this. Like this whole conversation. Like if you really think about taking risks, it's okay. You can hold on to it. If you really think about taking risks, the thing that keeps you from taking a risk is fear. Fear holds us back from doing things. And at the end of the day, the only difference between someone who takes risks and someone who doesn't is one person says the fear of what could be would be like worth it, right? Like if the worst thing that you think could happen happened, like maybe it's still worth it. And so fear really is at the heart of not taking risks. And so with that being said, I want to ask you
I think I remember what I was
our first question, unless you want to keep going, but I can ask you.
Anyways, fast forward, got opportunity, COVID, whatever, and I just took it as I was like, I'll be super safe and we'll do what we need to do. But I just took that and ran with it and found, I always say, like, as cliche as this is, like, I found a passion I never knew I had. And I remember having conversations with my dad, and I was like, I'm not artsy, like, I'm not creative. He's like, you are a photographer. I'm like, okay, but I mean, each creative as their own, like we all think about things differently. We all do things differently, and that's totally okay. And that's another topic I can talk about forever where like I find what I like and I put my blinders on and I focus on what's in front of me. And I'm like, if that brings me joy, like I'm going to do it. And I'm really good about being selfish in a good way because I take care of myself first and foremost to be able to pour into others. And I think that as a business owner, that's why like people ask me, how do you not get burnt out? How do you not do this? And it's because like when people are like, hey, can I jump on a call with you at 9:30? I'm like, I'm available at 11:30. Just because I really put up those boundaries, and I think it's been really healthy for me to grow at such a good pace because I'm like everything I go into, I go, this is fueling me. It's like with whatever you do, it's like it's a partnership. But in getting these, I can talk and talk because I love this so much.
Yeah, I mean,
not this on a stage, but I like taking it.
And one of the things that we talked about that you've told me is like, she's an open book. I'm sure so many of you have had conversations with her. She's willing to answer any questions. So you've had a lot of questions with all sorts of different professionals, not just photographers, all in the wedding industry. What are some common fears or like, what are some of the most, like the biggest fears that you hear people say that like kind of keep them from taking risks? It could be, I mean, anything.
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is social media, and those are the questions I get asked a lot. I think the way I think about it is I utilize it as a free platform and a tool to help your business. And I am grateful to say that I've never paid for marketing, which is crazy. And like, it's the consistency thing. And just going back, there's so much fear when people talk about posting or shoving their, self out there and showing their face. And I just think I've seen the upside of what it can do for your business when you do not hold yourself back. Because people want to see who you are. People want to see what you do. And, I know we were talking, a few of us earlier, that like I utilize my personality to my advantage. Because you will be right for this, certain people will think, nope, that's not the person for me. But I find who I need to find and surround myself with people who really build me up. And just, our conversations are so different. It's always so driven, so positive. Like, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, people just hold themselves back from a lot of things that they do, especially with posting or raising your prices. I know that I mean, like I said, I'm an open book, and I can talk about this for a long time, but
Thanks,
I just
Dave.
came from,
Sure.
if you've heard of Hybrid Co., I know you guys have been, but I went and I listened to a ton of planners, photographers that charge minimally $40K for photography for a wedding. And that is who I'm surrounded by and the conversations that I have with people. And it's crazy because I'm sure that you guys have seen WPPI. I never knew what it was until about a month before I left last year. And one of my friends pushed me into going because she was like, you have leverage with some brands right now. You need to take it and run. And that was like, I didn't know what the concept was of it or anything, but I was like, okay, I think this is what I'm going to do. And it changed my life. And I am just the kind of person that can speak anything and anyone, saying like, you walk in a room, if you're confident and just show yourself and your personality, like people will be attracted to who you are. And so I try really hard as like I continue to grow, not to change who I am. So I think, again, people want to see that, and that drives a lot of fear. And, oh, what are they going to think? You know, this, not this. And, you know, the big comparison, it was kind of crazy, but I met Jose Villa last week, and it was insanity.
He's probably maybe the biggest like photographer in the world.
And guess what? He's completely normal. Like, you stand hip to hip with these people, there's no difference. So the thing is about anyone in this industry, don't live in fear. Go up to these people, shake their hand, like there's just no difference. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a theme that I kind of heard kind of in what you were saying. Like, does anyone feel like at least with social media, maybe even networking events, right? There's something about being known and like making yourself known. Does anyone like struggle with the fear of like putting your face on social media or talking or any of that? Like, let me see hands.
People want to see you.
Yeah, hey, step out of your comfort zone. Yeah, that's a real thing.
I will say one thing too. What stands out to me, because there's a lot of parts of, you know, you building whatever that is like, oh, I remember this. Conversations that we've all had that you may not remember, but it sticks with me. And it was a thing where I think I was about a year-ish, year and a half into my business, and I posted my first headshot of myself. And I got a message from this guy I went to college with. And he goes, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were the one running this Instagram page. So I was just posting my work. And that sticks out to me, going, you have to show yourself.
Maybe he didn't read too, because your name was like, I'm kidding.
But it's just like,
I like the concept, yes, I get the concept, yeah.
I think where it's, everyone takes, I mean, I'm speaking directly to photographers, like we all do incredible work. We all are extremely talented. Like nobody's better than anybody else. Like we all started from somewhere. We all are, continue to do things. And I think there's a lot of people that get lost in knowing it's like the comparison game and everything. And that's with anything you do for your business. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, I just do a really good job about focusing on what I do and my business and worry about kind of what brings me joy. And I just kind of block out everything else. And I know sometimes that can come off maybe very closed offish. And I know Chris and I have talked about just like me venturing out and just like finding your place. But I think there's rooms for everybody to be in. And I think that, the comparison, like community over competition, I know we always say this, but truly it's like when you keep just growing and focusing on what you love, like the comparison completely goes away. Like, it's crazy just being in the rooms full of people that I've met at these conferences that I go to, and everybody wants you to succeed. And I think that's what is the difference about just like some of the rooms that I've been in. And then, just coming back to Wichita a little bit, where I think that's where people can gatekeep, and I know I'm kind of getting off topic, but it's just, I think we all need to be reminded of like, we're all here to help each other. And what people can do for each other is huge. And that's where I'm like, I will take people under my wing. I, somehow convinced Lauren to come to WPPI, and she did her own thing. And all of a sudden I saw her the first night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're around a whole group of friends that you just met. Like, that's awesome. And like, we did our own thing, but she saw firsthand the first night. She goes, I get it. Like, you are thriving in these environments, and it's just because the conversations are different. People want to build you up. People And I think that that just kind of trickles into also just knowing that I don't live in fear and I put myself in these uncomfortable situations. And because I know that if, I'm uncomfortable, that means I'm growing. So.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect spot to ask this question. Like,
talker,
no, you are good. You are good. When it comes to waiting for inquiries, I think that so many of us, we get busy, we have intentions of doing this or doing that, but sometimes life gets really busy, and instead of going out and going to network, doing things, we just wait. Or maybe the rejection feels like it's too scary to put ourselves out there. What would you say to someone? What advice would you give to someone who's just waiting for opportunities to arrive? How can they actually not just wait, but actually take this initiative, take this risk? What are the risks that you think?
Well, I will say I get rejected all the time, and that's totally fine. And I just brush it off. Just, there's weddings that I've wanted or opportunities that I've wanted, and, they say, oh, I'm so sorry, we're going in a different direction. And I just go, okay, well, something else will come on my plate, and I have certain instances where it's actually been greater because of things that didn't work out. And one was that I got invited right after a situation. I got invited to New York Bridal Fashion Week, and that was insane. And I was like, what the heck? That's crazy. So what was your question again?
Yeah, what's the practical advice for someone who's waiting, who's afraid? What can they do? The practical, not just waiting. So beyond don't just wait. What are the practical things?
That's a good question. How do I answer that? I would just say if
also alternative, what did you do?
Nice. Just not waiting.
Mm-hmm. Does that look did you approach people? Did you did you start conversations? How did you go actually?
So, yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm a go-getter, and I've always been that way. So this job is really good for me, and it fuels me because you don't know what's next. But again, not the living in fear. I don't know. We don't know when we're gonna get our next paycheck. I could care less. I'll figure it out. And I just think that you just got to do it. And for me, I can talk from personally where I just surround myself with people who are very positive and boost you up. And, again, there's no competition. And
so finding a community
yes.
that's okay, we're going to lift each other up. We're going to push each other like that. Did you approach other wedding vendors that you wanted to collab with? Cold call DMs, any of that.
You'll get DMs. I feel like I'm getting them now of, people sliding in and asking you questions about things. I did that same thing. And so I think I'm kind of getting off topic again, but yes, reach out to people, ask questions. You get second shooter opportunities that you never thought you'd get. And, I think when it comes to a lot of logistics of your business, I've gotten where I am today, I think, because I do push. I'm a pusher. I'm when I put my eye on a prize, I just kind of say and I don't say this openly, but I'm get out of my way because I'm driven. I'm gonna figure it out. So I think that that's something where you can kind of learn that, but that's just instilled in me. And I ask a lot of questions, and no question is a stupid question. And that is what I will say. I try to answer all my DMs, and it's really fulfilling to me to be I remember certain people that replied to me on Instagram when I reached out and took the time to just say thank you for blah, blah, blah. And you can tell that's kind of personalized, or it's copy and paste, who cares? But they took the time. And I think that's where I truly feel that with where I am now, where it's when you take the time to notice people and ask questions, it can change your business. And I, just certain people that have told me where they're you're very curious. And I'm I am, because I ask a lot of questions, because I mean, you have these, you talk any conversation you have, you will learn a little nugget from every person. And it's just, I take that and I'm all right. Even the past couple weeks of me going to conferences and traveling, I just am like overflowing where I'm like, oh my gosh, like just any conversation, it can be casual. Like when we're at a bar hanging out, like we just, again, it's like business driven. It's just, it freaking fires me up.
Yeah. When it comes to like no's, I want to talk about like the importance of getting comfortable with a no. Like how is it as simple as just like doing it enough? Like they say, like, I don't know how many people are baseball people in here, but like the purpose of spring training is to get at bats. Like that's why they go and the pitcher's got to warm up. They got to get like, they have to get their pitch count up and they have to get taking at bats. And so a lot of it is warming up. How much of like getting no's is really just like asking as many times as possible and putting yourself in a situation where you could get a no? How much of it is that?
It's a lot. Because I think that's where like I can talk about mindset all day, every day. But you're in your own head, you're in your own way. Like this is what I tell everybody that I talk to. I'm like, you're telling me a lot of frustrations or nervous things about what you're doing. But I was like, you are literally the only one thinking about that, posting on Instagram. How many people are thinking, oh my gosh, like, why did she post that? That's so weird. I don't care. I don't care if I get, 5 views or many more. Like, it does not matter to me. And I think that that's where I do have confidence in that. And I do remember, like, building up things where, you'll delete a post because it didn't do as good or whatever. You just got to get out of your own head.
Is it like impossible, would you say? Or does it, is it impossible to actually like get to this point where you're creating new opportunities if you're not taking risks? Like, do you have to get the no's in order and put yourself out there?
I would say yes, because no's always could potentially line up for something better or a different opportunity you didn't know that could be on your plate.
How many of you guys follow like Dress Gallery? Jillian, do you guys know Jillian? Okay, she was writing a book. Some of you guys saw this, and she did this thing where she took like a piece of fence post. It was probably like a picket fence. It was like this big. And she would paint a flower for every no that she got. And like one of her books ended up getting picked up, but there was, I don't know exactly how many, but it was full. There was a lot of flowers like on there. And I feel like for so many of us, we're afraid to take that risk. I think I'm going to speak to myself. I'm going to preach to the choir. Sometimes we can care too much about what other people think. What other people think. We can care too much about like what our peers think when really no one's really looking at you. Like maybe they're looking. I'm going to be very real for a second. They're like, oh, look at what so-and-so's doing. Would you look at what they're doing? Listen, people are going to talk shit all day long. Like all day. Even your family will talk shit. And that sucks. But there is something to getting like thick-skinned, right? And just knowing like, hey,
and it's come over time.
I am the only one. That's dropped all the time. You're good. What if it was cracked?
I mean, I will say, the biggest thing is the more you do something, and especially because we're all creatives, I think, that it's like we all have something to give to somebody that no matter what, like you're posting, and I heard this from somebody say that if you're posting and anything and you have somebody in your mind when you're posting, and this is very aggressive, but block them because they are causing you to hold yourself back in posting things. And I know that, like I said, that's very aggressive, but this is what we do. This is what you started and creative. And what are we? Like, we are creatives. And like, why are we having somebody in our head about what we're doing that is fueling us? Like, there's just so much. And I think that that's where I always say, I don't care in a good way because it makes me happy.
And as creatives and as business owners, when you're fearful, are you doing your best work? No. We're not. Like it's almost impossible to be creative and to move the needle forward. Like when we actually are being fearful, or when we have this person in my mind, in our minds that's going to do stuff like that. I'm going to ask you to be a little vulnerable. Yeah, I know. Everyone loves that. But like, can you tell me of a time where like you took a risk and it didn't work out? There's been a lot of risks that did, but statistically, there will have been way more that didn't than did. And then, like, how did you handle that?
So I think I just am thinking right away that I don't really think of it as a no. I think of it as, okay, like, and I say this in my own home, but I'm like, okay, watch me. Like, I'll make...
So fuel.
Right. And I think I take that as like, okay, sure, that didn't work out for me, but I'll pivot and do something else. And it's gonna be okay. Like I don't dwindle in it. You know, there's some things that you think about that it's like, oh man, but I try not to think about that. And yeah. Was that your question?
That was it.
Okay.
I do have a follow-up. Okay. This kind of gets into my little parable I told earlier. Okay. If someone has been in business for 2 years and nothing has really changed, right? So they've been in business 2 years. They're doing the same things that they were doing the first year. Nothing's changed. There hasn't been any growth. What advice or what questions should that person be asking themselves?
I actually had a conversation with my sister, which we are totally different. And it's crazy because she's my older sister and I'm the younger sister, and I'm very bold and she's a little bit more reserved. But I asked her, I was like, have you ever allowed yourself to sit down and just like think about really like what's out there that you think is unreachable? And she goes, I don't know, like, because people like my sister, it's very hard to be like, oh my gosh, like that would be crazy. That would be crazy if that happened. Well, what? It can happen. And ask me the question again. I start thinking about like, I just think allowing yourself to sit down and like dream about things that you can attain them and you can go get them. And you just have to, I mean, what I can speak on too is like, if you guys don't know what WPPI is or never heard of it before, I would gladly tell you to go. And even if and I'm getting off topic, but it's just like, if your goals are different, like to see products, go see some new products that hit the market. If you're wanting to make brand deals, that's where I made all these brand deals. And you go up and check the CEOs of all these companies that we use. Or if you just want to network. But what was your question?
No, the original question was just like, what questions should people be asking themselves? And I think kind of
the picture of like, what are you wanting out of it?
Yep.
Where you can sit back and be like, if you're wanting something little, I don't want to diminish anything, but like if you're just wanting something that makes you happy and you don't really care about the huge growth, but like you just are really content, then that is okay. But I think though that like I think that's just the separation of a lot of people in the industry where it's like some people really want a big life and I want a freaking big life and I'm going to go get it. I'm going to put myself in these rooms. And so again, I just think it's asking yourself, like, what do you really want out of your business? And that whatever you want is completely okay.
I think so many of us, like when we think of our businesses, like we're just trying to pay the bills, right? Like a lot of us are like, that's like entry level, right? Like that's ground floor. Like we just want to pay the bills with something that we're passionate about. Well, what happens when you've paid the bills? There should be something next. And so what I'm hearing from you is like, you got to have that thing, like you got to know what your dreams are and kind of what you're doing. And so if you've never thought about that, like I used to have a mentor that would say, if money was no option and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? And I want you to think about that. Like if money was no option and you knew you could not fail, like you knew with 100% you would succeed, what would you do? The crazy thing about that question is for some of you, it would not be what you're currently doing. And that's something that can get really heavy, right? Like that leads into a whole other thing. Like, man, well, maybe I'm like in a career and I have this thing and it's just like, I don't really love it. And but like, I got to do it because I've been doing it for so long.
Let's take a moment. We're all freaking risk takers.
We have to be.
Look at what we do. Like we're entrepreneurs. And so I want everyone to remember like, okay, it's so easy to fall into that person's getting that or what am I going to do next or whatever. And I think it's a thrill because I, again, like throw myself into fires. For instance, Hope was doing content at the Wichita Bridal Fair and she was like, oh, what are you doing Saturday?
Shout out to the new owner.
Yes. And I was like, oh, nothing. I don't have a wedding. And I was like, do they have someone taking pictures? And I don't ever go into things because it's like, oh, I want to be paid for this or this and that and this. And she's like, yeah, I'll ask. And they didn't have anybody. And I was like, all right, I'll go take pictures. Like, I want to do these for people. And that just goes into like, take care of the people that take care of you. And I don't do things because I want anything in return. I do it because it's a marketing strategy, but also knowing that it's like us photographers have a powerful thing in our hand that we can give people. Anyone could have asked to do photos for any event. You ask, and I ask all the time. And I think that's where some people may think, oh, she got asked. No, I'm mostly doing all the asking because, I didn't have anything. I'm like, well, the new owner, they need some photos. Like, I'm gonna take it. And again, like I saw opportunity there. And also to see vendors that I haven't seen in a while that we normally don't see each other on wedding days because, they're gone or whatever. And I just see things again about connections and relationships. And I talk about that all the time. And like last week specifically, I feel like that was circled around so much and questions asked of like, what is most important in our businesses? And it's relationships and connecting. And, it's just, I think giving back wherever we can is really, really good. And I just think we need to remember that, the money will come. And sometimes, yes, we need to pay bills, but also knowing that it's like if you have a good relationship, like they're going to be like, ooh, I really liked working with that person. Or I remember they went out of my way to do this. Take pictures of your vendor friends on the wedding day when you can and give them free photos.
So super practical. Like if you're like taking notes or if you're mental notes or anything, this right here would be something to like make an exercise like within the next like 24 hours to actually sit down and ask yourself that question. Like, what opportunities exist in my field where I can serve others? Because that is taking a risk to create an opportunity. You really almost have to try to manufacture things like, and you have to have an eye for it. Like it goes back to mindset, which you talked about, but like you have to have your mind open to like almost scouting, like, okay, what opportunities are out there, whether it's a new coffee shop that opened up, hey, can I come in and do some branding photos for you? I know that probably costs a lot of money. I don't want to take someone's job. But if someone hasn't approached you yet, or a business that's struggling, that can't afford it, right? Like there's so many of them, and there's all sorts of things that you can do like this, and I know this is something that we've talked about, but it's going in, and it sounds like from what I'm gathering, you basically got to kind of bust your own door, at least knock on the doors. Like,
do you guys don't even want to know how many people I trade services with, and it's at my benefit because you also need to think where I don't burn myself out, and it's things that I get free facials once a month. We trade. I bring my camera every time, and it's just again services like that where it benefits me, it benefits them. They need headshots, and I don't get paid ever to do this, but I think that's another thing where I feel like it used to be a lot bigger. I think my dad's an entrepreneur, and I used to see this with him where he would trade services all the time. You guys, we have services that everybody wants. And I think that we all need to remember that we're all a team. And I know that that's super cliche, but like photographer against photographer, like we're not competing. There's enough people to go around for everybody. And that's where like the referrals come into play. Like how many I always tell people, and it's very extensive, but like when people inquire with me, I say shoot me an email or shoot me a message on Instagram. Okay, I always, also this is a tactic that I use, I always circle everything back to my Instagram page. It's like an arrow that always comes back. So people that inquire with me that are not booking me sometimes will follow me because they find my Instagram page, send me a message, hey, you said you'd send me recommendations, and then I send them 10 other profiles around Wichita and then let them choose. Just because, again, like I just think that that's where I do a really good job about like little bits and pieces of everything.
Every no has the potential to have a positive interaction. Like, and exactly that, like anytime someone reaches out to you and inquires with you, when they get back to you, right? Because we always hope like they won't ghost and they'll say, hey, I'm so sorry, Chris. We like Lara, we don't like you. So we went with someone else. Like, we went with someone else. Thank you so much. Or we're still exploring other options. You have an opportunity right now to leave a great impression. Hey, that is amazing. I actually created this guide that has the top 100 things that brides forget on their wedding day, right? And I just want to give you this PDF. Happy wedding planning. I love you. And guess what? What they'll do is they'll say, oh my gosh, like, can you believe this? Like, we booked this other person, but there will be a but. But they'll say, but Chris and Larry did this one thing where this did this, and it will leave a lasting impression. And that's where that no can become this like really positive thing too. So every no has the potential to have like some sort of positive outcome based on how you respond. If you're like, fuck you, blah, 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 blocked, like that's never gonna go well.
Yeah.
Ever. And you're gonna be upset about it.
And I'm just.
Sorry, hard F. I blame it on that.
But I'm not saying this like a lot, but how many people have come to me specifically after they got married, months later or whatever, been like booking a shoot with me. And it's just, I think that's so, whether, and you don't know the why, whether whoever
We
they
assume the
had-
worst.
Yeah, and
We
I
assume
think
the
that that's
worst.
where you get in your head, but you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Where again, you just have to leave a footprint that's really positive. Yeah.
I want to have a little bit of time to do Q&A. We are going to get out of here at 8. So, but I do want to open this up for Q&A because I have a feeling some people will have some questions. But does anyone have any questions?
Okay, I have a question for you, because you're great at social media. Instagram and Facebook recently made it where you can only use 5 hashtags on a post.
We hold this.
Do you find that if you still hashtag in a comment?
Are they still making drinks? Or are they done?
So I think
Will you order me a cold fashion?
biggest thing
The
about
Val
social
card's up there
media
already.
is,
Yep.
and the reason I do know some of this is because a girl, if you've seen me post about social templates, I met her and she studies the algorithm. And we'll like jump on calls every once in a while or just have voice messages like, she's like, hey Stace, you should try this. You should be doing more carousels that have words on them to get people to continue to scroll. Like she tells me all this stuff. The algorithm changes all the time. And I will say it's very hard to keep up. You can try, but I would say, yeah, just I put some hashtags. Sometimes I put hashtags, sometimes I don't. But just do, kind of like categorizes a little bit, but I feel like that's where social media constantly changes and you cannot keep up with it. So just do what you can.
Consistency.
People are going to say, oh, this works, this doesn't work, this works, and it's just.
That's a good DJ.
I am consistent, clearly, because I always tell my friends too that follow me, I go, if I'm annoying, so mute me because you're not my next future client.
Consistency is never like going to die with the algorithm. That is the one thing that will never get outdated.
And they push people that are consistent because, and it's wild. And like I said, some of my posts do well, some of them, who cares? And I think that's where just continue to show up and show your business. And again, utilize a free platform that we have.
Next question. Sean.
Kudos to you for going to these bigger conventions.
They're crazy. Everyone should go.
I think everybody should go as well. I go to big DJ conventions. One thing that is common is everyone's there to kind of pep you up. Of course, you always get into pricing and you see what the other guys are doing. I go back to their Instagrams and their websites. I'm like, we're doing the same exact stuff. And so then I come back going, we're at least this amount of money. I'm sure you've kind of gone through that, maybe after going to these conferences and you want to jump your prices.
Yeah, everyone made me want to jump to 20K minimum last week. I'm like, well, my market's a little different than yours.
Yes, and I agree with that too. But
They're out there though.
have you ever made a big jump? Because I don't like to make little tiny steps. I think that looks dumb. Have you ever made a big jump and then when you did, what told you in your heart that was okay? How did you overcome your fear of breaking that big jump in price?
So this is, again, I speak about this because you can do things that work for you. I'm going to tell you what I have done. I used to do for a little bit, there was a little bit of a time where it's like, oh, my pricing is increasing at the beginning of the year. I feel like a lot of us do that around here, which is totally fine. If that's how you want to, grab your clients in, that is totally fine. I jack it up whenever I want. And it also depends on, I'm kind of like putting it out there, but when people inquire with me, like my prices, I actually had a call with a web designer today and I just threw my money and said, help me, because my website does not scream the branding I want to go to. And kind of talked through a lot of things and she was asking me about pricing and everything, and I was like, I don't post. I tried to dabble in posting a base. I've never posted my prices out there because that gives me a capability to increase whenever I want. You can You can post a price. And these are conversations I have had with people that are huge. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, is this working for you? So I do hear some people, for instance, on the back end of like sending the 3 prices. Some people do that. You want the bottom one being, you don't want to book that. The middle one being mostly booked, and then an outrageous one. Guess what? People will book your outrageous one. Some people do that. I do a customized right now. I have had conversations with people lately being like, okay, what should I do? And they say you can do either or. But I allow myself to grow whenever I want.
Have you ever made a big jump in your price?
Yes.
What?
And it's just like, if someone inquires with me where they're like, my budget is 10K, I go, great, I can match it, you know, and just, I then incorporate what can I put in that for them. And it's like, I feel like I'm good at selling myself. I've learned how to tell people what they want and what would be good for them. But I think, I just think just do it, just try it, because you're gonna throw a price at somebody and it's gonna stick, and you're gonna be like, what the heck?
Yeah. Also, pro tip. I mean, you're free to do whatever you want with your business, but
Take risks.
also though, you don't have to announce when you're making a price increase, because when you announce it, now you feel like you're stuck in it. Just do it. Just raise it. And then guess what? If it's not working after a couple months, you can lower it again. But if you've made this big 7 days, 5 days, 2 days, tomorrow, and I get it, but mindset, that screams scarcity mindset. I'm trying to create like urgency. It could, you know.
Also, this is just what I've heard last week and the week before. When you, I know we all do it, but saying, oh, I can only take 2 more weddings a year, like that screams kind of book me. Like that can get you people, and I have got messages from people being like, oh my gosh, what are your open dates? Like that's fine, but you have to come off in a way where you're super confident, and you don't necessarily need to remind these clients that you're like, hey, I only have a little availability for you. There's a lot of different ways where you can scale, and I think sometimes maybe pulling back on some of those things that we throw out all the time kind of makes it look like we're dying for money. So
Clients can smell that. Next question. Any others?
did that answer your question? We can talk later more.
Okay, speak now, forever hold your peace. Okay, Stacy, I'm pretty sure, like, is it fair to say that you're going to be hanging around if someone wants to pick your brain, like they're more than welcome to?
And I have a lot going on up here, and I just think because, again, I am on such a high from everything that I've learned and everything. So, like, when it comes down to social media versus, like, what I've learned about just how to carry yourself in this industry and, all the things. I am an open book about anything, and I always tell people, like, my DMs are always open. Like, if we want to jump on a call, whatever, like, I want to share this knowledge, and I don't gatekeep. I don't know everything, but I will tell you, like, what I've learned and what I am doing. And I mean, like I said, I can go on and on about hip to hip with people that are crazy successful, but like, we're all successful. We're all successful in our own ways, and that's where I think that we always need to remember that. But people openly talk about pricing, and people openly talk about what they're doing. And I think that that's just a different mindset, I think, for some of us. And just knowing that it's like, have these open conversations with people and who you're, other people in our industry, because we're all trying to grow. We're all trying to get the things. Yeah.
Okay, I want to end with this question. And this would be one of those ones, like, put it in your notes, think about it, like really think about it if you have morning coffee or afternoon, nighttime tea, whatever. But what would your business look like today if you had taken the risk that you've been thinking about for the last year? I'm going to repeat that. What would your business look like today if you took the risk that you've been thinking about for the last year? And I think a lot of us know that idea that we've had that just felt risky, or it felt like, is it going to do well? Is it going to do that? Like, you'll never know. Stacy, thank you so much. Let's give Stacy a round of applause. Stacy, you can exit right over there. I'm going to stand.